If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
They are 1.8 billion globally. They will make 75% of workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers for every conversation. Get more insights on African millennials on Africa Business Radio towards a profitable Africa.
My producer must have gotten the memo today that I'm actually feeling very sleepy, so he decided to give me a music bed that is a mix of a lullaby and also a hip-hop something. I think we should just do a rap session all through the show with Nnanke Essien. Again, she's back, guys. Last week Friday was what now? I don't say vibe. Vibe means another thing nowadays. Is it off the hook? Right, it was a concert, it was a show, right? I mean, I was listening to the session again yesterday and I had to rewind. If I didn't know that I could rewind where I listened it from, it was yesterday I realized, because I had to rewind some things to listen again. It was really, really good, and I'm sure that everybody who has listened or has shared it, learned something really, really good from Nnanke last week Wednesday. And of course, we got the lecturer from Covenant University in on last week Friday was when Nnanke came around, so we got a lecturer in on Wednesday, to talk about Gen Z and what their strength and potential is and can add to African economies, and that was really, really insightful also. So we're continuing with business development, corporate culture, and corporate governance with Nnanke, and then it's going to have a little bit of a twist this time around. So guys, welcome to the African Millennial Radio Show on Africa Business Radio. It's Tommy Wale, and for those of you who are just getting introduced to Nnanke, I want to tell you a bit about her. She's a consultant with a vision to transform the way brands and consumers interact. She is the lead strategist at SiSa, or SiSa Method, right? An experience improvement company that helps businesses reposition for market takeover. A visionary, an innovator, and a gifted conceptual thinker with over 16 years experience as a highly regarded speaker, HR consultant, strategy planner, and coach to entrepreneurs, individual and groups. If you want to know more about Nnanke, right, so I don't box you guys into the write-up of what I have here, go on our Instagram page, Nnanke, that's Nnanke _Essien on Instagram, and G Nnanke, same spelling with the Nnanke, Nnanke on Twitter, and then ask her a whole lot of questions. Check our website also, NnankeEssien.com. Hi Nnanke, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me back again.
I mean, if now how revved up I am for this edition, I'm going to share it with people and say, go and get your lives together. I mean, because I think it's going to be way more interesting than the first one. How's your week though?
Very well. It was a mix of work, family, work, a lot of things, but it was okay.
So thank God it is actually Friday. Okay. That's good. And hope you didn't get into how do I call it now? The moody or schizophrenic traffic of Lagos.
No, I didn't. I actually had the training at the end of this week. Towards the end of the week. So right. I've been going in for that. That has been good as well. No stress.
Man, I wish I was in that training. Are you the one facilitating?
No, I'm actually learning.
Nnanke is learning. Guys. I'm kidding. Alright, so It's a new decade, obviously. Around January, I started making some predictions on the show and saying that, well, I think I should have been more specific. I started saying that we don't know what this decade is going to hold. I should have said that people should anticipate good things, Hopefully my words will have arranged a couple of things, But then I was coming from the point of certain jobs or people's, careers could, be taken out, right? I said, okay, there could be a software where you want to start a business, you put in what you want to do. The software could help you define it. Ask maybe certain questions from your target audience, your environment, where you're operating from, what your initial capital is, and then brings out the business model canvas, could fill it up for you, right? And then now has a marketing part in the same software, and then it just asks you again all the marketing questions, and then it brings up a page where you can do a small creative also, and then on the app from start to finish marketing, all you just need to do is to sharpen your back end, to get the calls going well. So it has taken the jobs of a couple of people right out of the way. So I'll just train that into the air now. Things are happening. I think in Heathrow Airport right now, it was not 2 or 3 years ago now, people won't be checking your passports and things anymore. You just walk and everything is all those people's jobs. Okay, so it's replacing human resource in many ways, right? Making many unemployed. What qualities should employees start working on to make themselves indispensable, especially fitting into the culture of organizations that they would really benefit from?
All right, thank you. That's a very brilliant question, and it's something that has been on the mind of a lot of human resource professionals and business leaders, as the case were. But something I want to throw out there is that in as much as we have technological changes happening, it doesn't happen at a paced manner. In other words, it happens in some countries because of how developed they are, and in some other countries it takes time for it to get there. So, not that I'm not preparing you for it, but I'm just saying that it doesn't happen at the pace that we're expecting it to happen. Now, that being said, I'd like to point out that the person with the most flexibility, I think, is the one who controls the system. And the reason I say this is, think about water, right? You put water in any condition, you put it in a cold environment, it freezes up. You put it in a pot to boil, it turns into vapor. You put it in different dimensions. It doesn't change its state. It doesn't die, literally. All it does is that it changes its state to adapt and still serve a purpose. So the person with the most flexibility, first of all, is the person who would survive this sort of environment. So you think about COVID, you think about everybody, moving online and doing things online. Who do you think is going to benefit from this all? The first adopters, people who think that, there are changes in my environment, there are changes in my industry, and I need to adapt. Now, some of these technological changes that you've mentioned, some will be creative, some will require some sort of critical thinking, some will require reasoning, some will require people who can develop, some will require people who can think. So if you think that the skills that got you in that environment ab initio would keep you there, it wouldn't. So that's again for you to be able to be flexible enough to identify the changes that are going on within your industry and ask yourself, where can I plug in? So I mean, human resources, for instance, if I don't know anything about data analytics, am I not joking with my life and my career? How am I going to be of benefit to the organization? That's indispensable benefit where I'm able to, really change or use metrics to help the company make decisions. Right. Another thing that people can start to think about is the concept of overwhelm. Every CEO, when you hire somebody, or every business leader, when you hire somebody, is to reduce that level of overwhelm. So if you think that, I've arrived because I just know certain things or because I have technical skills, that's not also going to keep you in the environment. So how much of your boss's overwhelm are you able to reduce? And the only way you can even get that done is if you still understand the boss's mind. If you're able to, really get deep in there, understand what the business issues are, because what your CEO, your business leader is craving for is a mind space to do other things, to get other things done. So if you're in that space and you are a burden in that environment, when they are beginning to kick people out, you'll be the first to go down because you are not actually adding value in that environment. I'll give you a case in point. one of the banks I worked in some years ago, right? They were going to merge with a new generation bank, and one of the things we're hearing as water cooler conversations was the fact that we're going to bring in some new sort of systems, and if an organization is going to adopt technology, it's either for speed, for efficiency, because of the changes in time and everything, and these discussions are going to be ongoing. Now, there was a woman who was older. She was a secretary of some sort. Her child was in NYSC, but the child kept coming home and telling her about this Microsoft tool she was learning, and the woman got interested that this thing kind of sounds like what I've been hearing. I'm taking minutes at the boardroom, and she started learning. At the time when they're going to, start to let go of people that did not fit into the new normal, guess what? This woman was one of the people that they considered to move. And they took her, was a pinnacle training, and she was there. She was one of the oldest people in the room. People were like, how come? But she had showed that, in this new normal, I am going to show that I am relevant. I'm going to show that you cannot do without me. So even if all I do was to type 300 RBM, or I think it's words per minute, they call it in those days, I can show you now that I can adapt to this environment. And she adapted until she was ready to actually retire. She did pretty well. For every opportunity there was to learn, she was there. Now, how dependable also are you within your environment? So if I, as a boss, can I really close my eyes and go to bed and know fully well that you will handle situations? Or can I send you to my clients and know that you will not mess up something? Or even if you mess up something, you're able to come back and meet me and be like, I messed up, boss, but this is what went on and I need support in this area. How dependable are you within your environment? So now, beyond your technical skills, beyond all of the things these are critical skills that will help you to maintain relevance in your environment and not be indispensable. I think the last thing I will talk about is owning your executive presence within your environment. How much of your presence is felt within your space? Are you still regurgitating pidgin English type of solutions, or are you the one who goes ahead and thinks through things and comes up with innovative solutions or ideas, or pushes the company towards the direction of its winning? If you're not that person, these are things you need to start thinking about. So it's beyond just being able to communicate and speak English. It's in the results. It's in you understanding what the quality of results within your environment looks like. It's in you being dependable. It's in you being able to show your boss that, even if you're not there, I can handle things and I will consistently propel the vision, the culture, the direction of the organization. So I think that's what people need to start thinking about at this moment.
Well, people should start thinking about doing. Because this is okay. The people that should have been laid off must have been laid off end of July. So you have 3 weeks to go. Sharpen yourself, bruv. You need to. Yeah. So another thing, also talking about this technology thing, right, has created a wider playing field, right, for people in business. People to even express themselves. So many people and organizations have grown revenue with mobile phones. I was reading a review on a digital marketing review or case study by Newscred, and they said that H&M marketing department has set up a whole room where people just respond to DMs of H&M. So they don't all just click the link in our bio. People just want to, how much is this now? And then you're getting responses immediately from the mobile phone instead of, picking up a phone and calling. So it has moved, really, really fast. Now, from a business development standpoint, right, can you talk about what ensures sustainability within this new framework? So
leveraging what I mentioned earlier about flexibility, it just tells me about an organization who is very close to the ground when it comes to their customers, close to understanding what their customers need, and close to scoping the environment and knowing the things that have changed within the environment. That's what that tells me. But what would create sustainability is the concept of structure within that idea. You don't just come up and say, because the .com bust, or because we have people currently staying at home and needing things via Instagram DM, that's all our model will be. What are we building around it? How are we ingraining that into our environment? How are we ingraining that into our system? So there must be, even for, like they say, there's always a method to the madness. So what exactly is the structure behind it? Because if it's an add-on and people don't understand it, the same way it came is the same way to fade out. So you're making some money now, but there's no structure as to where the money is going or how the money is coming in, or the accountability that ensures that that model stays across board. If that consistently happens, then there won't be sustainability. But you have identified that my customers are, very, very essential to my growth. And that means that I must have a system within my environment where I listen to them, I understand their needs, I understand exactly how they want to be served. See, what this tells me also is a company that respects the buying method of its customers. That's something a lot of us don't understand and don't implement. So, for instance, somebody tells you, "Oh, I want to pay with POS," but you say, "No, our policy only accepts
cash.
You to buy cash or pay with cash." You haven't respected my mode of buying, and I'm your customer, and you don't know that is a leakage in your environment. There's a net effect just with that transaction. But if I understand that this is part of our structure, customer experience, regardless of how we give it, is part of our structure. So I can express that in different ways within the confines of that environment, within the confines of that space. But if there's no structure to it, that's when we don't have sustainability. So identifying what is most critical to you as a business, and then being able to adapt as per the current situation, as per what is going on within the space, as per how your customers want to be interacted with, how they want to be fed, how they want to be, led, how they want to, assimilate or receive whatever product you're offering to them. That's what you need to start to put into consideration or put into place. And then start that sensitization across board to let them understand that, we are beginning to build more moments like this within our system, whereby if things happen, we can easily adapt, we can easily grow. So how are you also exposing your team members to learnings, to case studies, to just help them understand that these things happen. There's always a pause situation in a business, regardless of whether it is COVID or not. It can be an economic downturn, an economic recession. It can be something that has changed in the customer's behavior. It can be a government regulation. It can be anything. So how do you then adapt? Right? How do you then adapt to that environment? How do we ensure that we still maintain or stay true to our vision, but at the same time, we have a structure around the things that we do? So you can innovate within this environment, you can innovate within the ambits of this space. You can do this, you can do that, but there's an ordered and structured way of doing things. If not, it will fall apart. And that's what we see with a lot of businesses. Once they end maybe their first 1 million or they end their first 5 million, the next thing, they, go haywire with it, because there's no structure, because there is no plan, there is no direction, there's nothing to look forward to. And so we just enjoy, or as they say, just, and at the end of the day, we figure out that we just end up spoiling something that could have been good. So building those foundations, entrenching those foundations, and ensuring that those pillars are very present within your environment, such that you can start to build sustainability on top of it, is what people need to realize right now. I hope I'm speaking to somebody, because there are a lot of business owners right now who have, that experience where you just have boom, and boom happens, but because you don't even have a structure to manage the boom, you find that it goes to ruins and it goes to waste. And people like, that business was really good, but now they're living in past glory, or now they're no longer existing. So you want to identify what this growth is, how fundamental it is to the foundations of a business, and please build a structure around it. I can't even continue to emphasize it. Build a structure around it, a structure around your people, around the learnings within your environment, defining your culture, maintaining high standards, ensuring you don't go below, ensuring that you're still in alignment with your clients, you're still in congruence with them, ensuring that everybody within your environment understands the reason we are taking these actions. That is the only way that we can build sustainability. That's the only way we can have sustainable growth. If not, you figure out that everything just ends up in ruins.
Are you still considering being an entrepreneur over there? Because the things you think you learned in your organization for the past 10 years might be shifting right now.
Right.
So I understand that you have experience. Yes, of course, they're enduring values. So you have that experience that you've gained, but then you might be coming into a totally new school if you're starting entrepreneurship today. I mean, that was really huge. Guys, you know what? Let's have a short break. Let's at least take this thing we've talked about in a bit, and then we'll be back for a whole lot more. See you in a bit.
Listening to Africa Business Radio, where you get up-to-date insights on the Africa business landscape. Log on to www.africabusinessradio.com. Your favorite shows are available on podcasts. Download them on our website and mobile app. Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.
All right, so this new decade also, I mean, I think it's it's a green land. I can't see trees, I can't see anything yet. It's just a very, very, let's say virgin soil now, right? It's fresh, right? And the people in entry level, I'll say the people in final year right now, belong really to the Gen Z, or maybe the older ones of them are younger millennials. Now, these people would be the entry level candidates for organizations right now. As organizations are trying to, move on to their new place, they will need to get new human resource, and to be these people. Now, there's been this war of how baby boomers think different from how Gen X thinks, and how Gen X thinks different from how millennials think, who are the ones that give some people headache one time, but I'm glad they are coming down right now. Now, these Gen Z guys don't understand why you shouldn't be who they expect you to be. I mean, they would question you and they would throw it at you. Now, in making sure that organizations move forward with everything you said earlier that has to be done, you made an example of a lady that you gave, the opportunity to produce content for a template magazine, and then she just went on expressing herself. Now, these people are like that. What would you say to human resource professionals or the human resource departments and organizations absorbing these people, right, and making sure that they actually complement their strength, actually complements the strength of other people, so they won't be that nightmare, that commotion of, we used to come early here, but then I didn't have anything to do, those sort of things.
Well, I think that first of all, the mindset has to change. The mindset needs to change because these people they are more of helpers than any other thing. The freshness they bring to an environment can, reduce the amount of stillness you have in that same environment. So you need to think about it in that way. That being said, we also need to understand that the baby boomers, their reality is not your own or the millennial current reality. I don't like labeling, but let me just use the word. So if your mom 10 years ago tells you, told me, stand up, you have to run because your mom is about to flog you, right? But this generation, if you say stand up, they actually would get up because that's what they hear. But your mom is wondering, hello, I said stand up, you understand? Maybe your older cousin or your older sister, this one does not even understand anything. Their realities are different from our realities. And so we need to meet them at that point if we have made decisions to absorb. Now you also need to know that curiosity, really, it doesn't kill any cat. It's what actually makes us get better. And older people are afraid most times of asking questions because their parents have beat it out of them, right? For this new generation, whether you beat out of them or not, they will still go on asking questions. Now ask yourself, where do they find themselves the most? On their phone. Regardless of what they are watching or what they are seeing, they are gathering information, they are gathering data, they are making inferences. So if you happen to employ them within an environment and you ignore them, you're doing yourself a disservice. So what organizations would do, or what I would propose that we do is that even within our training schools, don't ever limit them. All you need to do within your training school is to absorb them into your values, your beliefs, your credo, your culture as an organization. But we are not saying stop. And as much as possible, I mentioned flexibility. It's a word that I think that every organization needs to infuse now. I mean, who thought we'll be working from home? Who thought traditional organizations will allow their staff to work from home? I have somebody who I'm currently working with, and that person says it's a lie. They are sleeping in their house. They still believe so. But guess what? Productivity has gone off the roof. So that means we have the potential to be flexible. Right. So why can't we be flexible with this one? If we are going to if for instance, you're an IT staff, I don't need you to be in the office 24/7. If you're going to be a sales staff, I don't need to be seeing your face. So we need to debate some of those values that we have that don't serve us, that don't empower us as an organization. If I'm bringing in my sales target, if I'm meeting my sales target, I don't think I need to be in the office all the time. So these new conversations need to start happening if really you want to absorb them. Now, let's not take away the experience of the baby boomers and the rest of them, because they would show us a template of how things have been done and we can infuse it. So that marriage, bringing them together in a knowledge sharing environment, removing the whole respect barrier, and permit me to say that, removing the whole I'm older than you barrier, and allowing people to express. That's something we don't do. Think about it. If you're going to do a strategy session or you're going to have a brainstorming session, who will you carry? the CEO, the manager, the same old people with the same old ideas, whose only goal in life is to just please the MD. But you have these new people who would come in there and disrupt that environment, and you need that level of disruption to just shift your mind a little bit to things that you've not even seen. And most times, because these managers and executives that are in the picture, they can't see. They can't bring in resources for the present state. They can't bring in resources. So if they don't bring in resources, all they come back to do is that they refine that English and just speak it. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't move the meter. It doesn't chase us anywhere. And they go back, take this pressure, put it on their team members, and this cycle goes on without production, without that level of production. So when you're having your meetings, create think tanks, create environments where a problem within the organization can be shared within. I don't know what to call it, but if you have like a problem, so you mentioned technology the last time. Maybe you might have like what do you call that thing? An app or something within your intranet. Yeah, within your intranet, and share the problem. Let everybody within your environment be able to pitch in and share their solution. You will find out how much you would learn, how much you would know, and how much solutions you can pick up from there. But when you reduce it to only, these are the only people who will go upstairs and come. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. I remember one organization I used to work in. They would just have the meeting. You see all of them going up the stairs like angels, and when they come down, they will just clutch their books as if, no, you should not know what the MD told us about. And we, the young ones, will be asking ourselves, Auntie, tell us what's going on now. Tell us, they'll say, no, this is company secret. But yet the problems were never solved. The complaints were still going on and on. In HR, we're still receiving requests to hire because the quality of solution required was not with those people. And we had people in that environment who were critical thinkers, who were great creators, who were reasoners, but no. So organizations now, beyond anything, if you hire a Gen Z person, do some personality skill tests, do some competency framework, do some communication, understand the strengths, do some strength finders, understand the strength within your team, and be happy to give that person the responsibility and just define the results that you're expecting and let them go. Do you understand? If we do not have those kind of conversations, those kind of new conversations within our environment, it will be almost impossible for us to get the best out of these people. Yes, the experience of the older people will guide you into how you get things done, but leave them to create, a simple phrase or a simple line from a talk show they have listened to or a reality show they've listened to could actually be the solution your organization needs. But because you feel those things are evil, we can't be associated with such things, you just lose, on the value that people could have brought in. So please, let's debunk all of. They've not served us in years. They haven't served us in years. Nothing says that it will serve us in the next couple of years. So that mindset, that thought, that archaic way of thinking, we just need to debase it, as much as possible and bring our people in and let's see the changes that go on within our environment.
I hope everyone is hearing that before they start, because I like the fact that you actually highlighted their strength, like their qualities, not the whole condescending thing that they talk about. These younger ones are not something or something. Perhaps everybody just needs to change.
They need to change, realize their reality. What they see is the guys who sing. What they see is the guys who do this. That's their new reality. That's what they know. And I don't think that we have done enough to actually change that school of thought. Honestly, we haven't. So why don't we, pick up the juice from what they have, infuse it into our environment, put some newness in it, and see how far that will take us.
You should have a statue on a major highway years later for these things you said, man. Because the planet is going to be grateful for this thing you just said. Now, in a quick minute, do you think it is safe? So if I want to plan the next 5 years, I know, it's based on what I've seen happen before and everything. But because everything is just changing and it looks like it's some type of an unknown, although enduring values still exist, do you think it's safe? Just a minute. Do you think it's safe to really still write down that 5-year plan that you should stick to? For your business, at least.
Yeah, so I'm going to use an analogy to answer this question, and I hope that it conveys the message.
All right.
So, how do I want to live up to in the ideal situation? I want to live up to 98 years old, right? And when I'm 98, I want to still look this way. I want to be hot. I want to have like a head of grey hair. I want to be able to tie my scarf, drive in my Ferrari, convertible down the streets of Malibu. These are the dreams and aspirations I have at 98, right? I'm still in my 30s, right? And so something would lead me to this place. Now, those things that would lead me is either I pay attention to my health, I pay attention to my relationships, I pay attention to my investments, I pay attention to, my learning and development, I pay attention to the different things that will help me be able to live that quality of life at the age of 98. Now, every single year, I want to review these things around me and say, how far or how close am I getting to achieving what I want to achieve when I'm 98? It doesn't mean I don't have a plan. I do have a plan. Right? How crooked the plan is, is dependent on several situations, but I do have a plan because I have an end point. So as an organization, you have a picture of the future. Right? It may not be extremely clear, but you have a picture of what you want the future to look like. And there are several things that you would do consistently that would get you there. Right? There are several things you would do. So, as an organization, I want to be known as maybe one thing. I want to be an Amazon of some sort. Let me use that because that's a good example in my head. What are Amazon's, like you said, lasting values? Okay, we know our customers are very important. We want to have the right selection or the right selection of products. We want to have this, we want to have that, we want to have this, right? If things change within the course of the year based on our business model, those are the things we would change, right? Those are the things we will continuously improve and continuously work on. It doesn't negate the plan.
So have an end point.
Yeah, it doesn't negate the plan.
My people.
They just stopped me.
I'm sorry. Nnanke, you've had an hour session actually. If you add last week and this week together, that's a whole hour. And it's been really good. Thank you so much for coming on the African Millennial Radio Show, guys. We're sorry you just had to stop abruptly that way, but then send her DMs right now on Instagram and on Twitter. Nnanke_Essien on Instagram, Nnanke on Twitter. Ask her questions, right? Talk to your organization to get her into your boardroom and shake things up a bit. And of course, she's not cheap. Right. All right, guys, make sure you have a very, very wonderful weekend. Thank you once again, Nnanke, for coming on the show. I'm sure you guys learned a lot. We learned a lot. I'm going to listen again, and then I think I'm going to have a field weekend listening over and over. Don't forget to stay safe, right? Go out if you really have to, and have a wonderful time with your friends and your family. See you on Wednesday.
Thank
Bye.
you very much. Thank you, guys. Ciao, ciao.